Well, hi everybody. It's been a while since I've made a video, so I thought I'd better try to get one out. It's a beautiful day here today, but the wind is so cold. The sun's shining, it's really nice. It's about 12 degrees, but the wind is really blowing cold and making it feel a lot worse, a lot colder than it is really. But it's winter, so what do we expect? We've had really quite a light winter this year, which in one way is quite worrying because it's not been cold enough in the pond. The least my pond got to was 5'9", just below 6 centigrades. So it's a bit worrying in one way because it's not been cold enough to kill the parasites off in the pond. And if it's been the same where you are and your pond temperature hasn't dropped down to about 3 or 4 degrees, I would keep your eye on your fish once the water starts to warm up, and if they start flicking they will need a parasite treatment. The water's not been cold enough to kill the parasites off. I hope you can hear me through all this wind. The water's not been cold enough to kill the parasites off, and your fish will still come out at a low ebb once the water starts to warm up. So just keep your eye on them in case they do start flicking. If they do start flicking, then give them a bit of a dose for parasites. Just give them a scrape if you can, find out what it is and treat them for it. But like I say, just keep your eye on them is the best thing. I'm not sure whether you can see my fish down there. They're all down there looking good. They don't look too bad at all, seeing as they're just coming out from the winter. The pond temperature's picked up some. We're up to about 7.5, so that's not too bad at all. The temperature's rising in the pond, and I've got the cover up, so we'll give them a bit of fresh air today. Especially with this wind, they'll get plenty of fresh air. But I thought I'd just pop the cover up. Okay, in the filter house. I must admit I've not been out here for 2 or 3 days, well probably more actually. I've been a bit busy, which I'll show you what I've been doing a bit later in the video. But everything seems to be running quite well in here. There's not been any problems, it's all ticking away as usual. I want to do a bit of, like I've mentioned in one of my previous videos, I want to do a bit of a upgrade on the moving bed, add a little bit more air to that. Now I did order 2 8-inch air stones for it, which I was going to fit 2 new ones, but unfortunately when I got them, one of them was broken. I said, well, send me a new one, and unfortunately they gave me a refund, and I thought, well, I'm not going to go through all that again, so I'll keep the one that's in there and fit the new one with it. We'll see how that goes. I want to get that done, ready for the summer. It's not too important at the moment, but if I get it done now, it's another job less I've got to do in the summer. The pre-pump filter, it's going brilliant, really is. It's taken a lot of weight off the RDF. It's getting no rubbish, or the pump's getting no rubbish in it whatsoever. Don't know whether you'll see it down there, but I haven't cleaned that out for 6 weeks. I think it's 6 or 7 weeks since I did that last, and it's still fine. So it's keeping all the rubbish out of the pump, and I used to have to clean that pump every day. So that's taken a big chore off the cleaning the pump basket out. So I'm quite pleased with that. Everything else is going fine, the river's going fine, the RDF, it's no problem. It keeps going in the background, bless it, it's really good. But yeah, everything is good in here. I've just got that little mod to do on the moving bed. Okay guys, we'll nip down the big shed, or the bigger shed, and I'll show you what I've been up to. I'll show you my new hobby, and it's in here. And as you can see, I've built a new bench, and on it I've got one of those Chinese routers. Yeah, Chinese router. It's all there, it's up and running, and this is my new hobby, and I'm quite enjoying it actually. I do like messing about with wood. I've not been that good at it, to be honest, but this does help a great deal. But that's what I've been up to. This is my router. It's a 60/40 router. You'll probably see them on eBay, and what they actually do is like mill wood. I can probably show you a couple of things. This is what I've been practicing on. This is what they do with the wood. this sort of thing. You can see that if we get it in the right light. That's the sort of thing they can do, and they do take quite a bit of getting used to. You do have to persevere. That's another one that I've done. They're quite good, they really are quite good, I must admit. But the problem, one of the biggest problems is, that's just a smaller one of the eagle. But you do all sorts of things with them. I've only been using the softwood at the moment. I've not gone on to the hardwood as I'm still practicing. I don't want to waste the hardwood. I'm on the softwood at the moment just to see how things work. One of the biggest problems is talking to the Chinese. You get quite a difference in emails. You can send them one and they probably don't understand it that well, because I would believe they're only using Google Translate to understand what you're saying, and then by the time they've sent you one back it makes no sense at all. So you're really struggling in that way. But there's a lot of help on the internet, on YouTube. There's a lot of people got these things, so there's plenty of info out on there on how they run and how to use them, and using the programs that operate them. I mean, just the finishing on that eagle there, just the finishing program on that had nearly 100,000 lines of text, which I'm using Mach 3, which processes that, which tells the router what to do. So they are quite complex, but once you start to get used to them, I've still got a lot to learn yet, but once you start to get used to them, you can start turning things out quite easily. I'm enjoying it anyway. It's keeping me busy. It's given me something to do while there's not been that much to do in the pond world. Anyway guys, what I want to do is, like I said, I want to do something with that moving bed. So I'm going to see how much of the fittings I've got and see what I can do with it to get it running the two 8-inch air stones. So I'm going to get on with that next. Okay, now the first job is going to be getting that old one out, get the old stone out and the piping, switch the pump off and get that out. I've been rooting through my drawers, and I've found one or two bits that's going to help us put this thing together. So we'll get the old one out, have a look at that, and then start measuring up to see where we want to be to get this new setup in. Okay, that's got the old one out. It's not too bad a nick actually, so I probably only needed the one anyway. It looks quite good. So now it's going to be a matter of getting it connected to the other one, measure up what sort of distance they want to be apart, and getting it back in. I do want to change that tap there where I've got it on the inside of the moving bed. I want to put it on the outside so it doesn't take up so much room, and then I can get the pipe going down nearer to the wall of the moving bed there. Right guys, what we've got here is the two air stones as they're going to be fitted on the bottom of this moving bed. I've got an elbow there and a T there coming up, and that's the pipe that comes up to the top. That fits that top pipe there. As you can see, I've now got the tap on the outside of the moving bed instead of the inside. So I've moved that out, which was taking up quite a bit of room on the inside. So that's got rid of that, and it's all the pipes cut and ready. Now thinking about it, what I'm going to try to do, I do have some of these non-return valves, one-way valves. So I want to drop one of these into that section there somewhere, down there, just to stop the water backing up that pipe at all. So I want to drop that in there, and it is a little bit too big for this pipe, so I'm going to see if I can heat the pipe up and get it pushed over the top of these, see if I can get one to fit. Right, so I've got my heat gun up here. What I'm going to try to do is get that one-way valve in that piece of pipe, so I'm going to cut the pipe and then I'm going to heat it up and see if I can get this pipe to fit over. They are a little bit big, but I'm going to see if I can get that pipe to fit over that one-way valve. Right, well now you can see I've come down into the bed. We're all connected up on the first one. The actual non-return valves there, I've got it in. I did heat it up and stretch the pipe over. I hope you can see. Stretched the pipe over it. It went quite well actually, quite easy once it was heated up with the gun. And then into the T, coming across to the elbow and into the second air stone. Now to fit this air stone, obviously the pipe doesn't fit the 15mm. Well, I'm not sure, I think it's 8mm pipe you want on that. So we've got to do a bit of an adapter job here. So what I'm going to do is cut 1.5 inches of 8mm pipe and super glue it onto there, heat this up and then super glue this on top. It should just fit because that's how that one's fitted and it's been no trouble. So I'm going to do the same with this one. So I'll get me 8mm pipe and we'll get that onto there. Don't forget with these pipes, when you're fitting these pipes, always go round them and clean them up with a Stanley knife just to take all the burrs off. Otherwise when you're pushing them into the rubber ring, you could mark the rubber ring and you'll get a leak. It also helps if the actual pipe where you're pushing it in is wet. I just stick it in my mouth and lick it, to be honest, but make sure it's wet. It'll slide into the rubber. If the rubber's dry, it will take quite a bit of pushing in, and the chances are you could push the rubber ring out inside of the elbow or the T or whatever you fit in. So always wet the end of the piece of pipe where you're going to push it in. It goes in a lot easier. Okay, well I've got my little bit of 8mm pipe to go onto the air stone, and then I shall heat that end up and push that over the top of the 8mm pipe, and it hopefully will end up the same as that one. And there's a Loctite. I shall super glue it into place. So that's my next little job. And there we go, that's it, all plumbed. So now it's just a matter of getting it dropped into the moving bed, and then we'll sort out what pump we're going to have to run it. So that's all the pipe work done. The super glue won't take long to go off because that pipe, when I pushed it over the top, was quite warm, so that'll soon dry that out. Right, the air stones are now in the moving bed. They've all dropped in just nicely. We've got a new tap on that end, and now we've got to sort out what pump I'm going to have to run it. The pump I've got on it at the moment is my old faithful, it's an Air 2000. You can't seem to get them in this country now, but if you want one, you can get them from Germany. I've had that one 7 years and it's never been a problem. I've never touched it, and it's run solid for 7 years. But as I say, it's only sort of 25, I think, litres a minute. So we're moving up. I'm going to put that 40 litre a minute on the moving bed now, which is the one that's on the pond for the winter, and the one I've got for the pond is a 60 litre per minute. That's the one that's going on the pond. The Air 2000 is going to be redundant after this, but that's the pump I'm going to put on there to run the moving bed, 40 litres a minute. That's got the pumps plumbed in, one to the pond and one to the moving bed, as you know. I'm just wondering how noisy this 60 litre a minute is going to be. As you know, I did have the Blagden, which was, oh, I've still got it actually, which is very noisy. So we'll compare it to this one. They're both 60 litres a minute, so we'll see what happens. But I'm going to put the moving bed on first. We'll plug that in, which I think is, I think it's this plug. We'll try it. We'll plug that one in, switch it on and see what happens. So hopefully we should see some movement in this moving bed once it gets up to steam. As I suspected, most of the air's coming out of the new air stone, which it obviously will. The other one's starting to work. It's just starting to move some media. So we'll just leave it for now, see what happens. I want to go over the other way just a little bit. I might have to put a tap on the new air stone just to slow it down a bit, but we'll let it run for a while and see how it goes. Looks like we've got plenty of air because this one's probably running a little bit fast. Just a little bit of tinkering about and we should have air over the whole of the moving bed then. But that one is too quick, so I've got plenty of air. Okay, so what I've done, I thought I might get that problem, being as that one's brand new and that's about 1.5 years, 2 years old probably. I've just dropped the tap just before the new one, so I can slow the flow to the new one down if I want now. So we'll get it back in and then I'll adjust the tap up so it's working a lot better. And there we go. Good movement on all the media. Everything's moving about. A lot of air going into that tub now, which is what we really want. That's what we want in there, plenty of air. And there's no static meter, it's all looking good. It's all moving nicely, so job well done. That's a little job done I haven't got to do now in the summer. Mind you, putting my arm down in that water was cold. Oh, it is cold in there. But another job sorted. Well, I've now got the 60 litre up and running, and I cannot believe how quiet that thing is. It's quieter than the 40 litre a minute, I think. There's half as much vibration, you can just feel it. But with that one you can feel it, definitely, with the 40 litre. But with this one, and quiet, boy is it quiet. I mean, let's face it, you're right up against it now. And that's the most noise we're going to get. That's excellent. Loads of air coming up in the pond, I'll show you that. That's if you can see it for the sun. All 4 air stones, all 5 air stones are giving as much air out as that, if not more, the top ones. But plenty of air coming up in the pond. Brilliant. It's livened the fish up a bit. But yeah, well pleased with them pumps, can't believe it. Yeah, so I'm well impressed. Well impressed with them pumps, can't believe how quiet they are. So that's everything up and running. They're both running at the moment, and that's as loud as it gets. They're both on the go. Can't really tell it's running, I've got to be honest. So that's the moving bed all done and sorted. Plenty of air going into there now, and look at the movement on the media. Excellent. And the one to the pond done. So that's all set up and I'm ready for the summer. Another little job done. Right, well, just a little tip on these moving beds. As you can see, and it's notorious for it, this K1 for climbing can be a right pain. So what I do is just get an elastic band, ordinary elastic band, and fit it to the tube. And it will climb until it gets to the elastic band and then drop back into the moving bed. So I'll just put that on and then show you what I've done. Right, I hope you can see that. Just let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. And that'll stop it climbing up that filter cage and dropping in the top. Just a simple elastic band around it. I've not got to do it on that one obviously because it's got a cap on it, but I haven't on this one. I did twist it round a few times so it is twisted as well, but the media will get to that and then fall back into the tub. Stops it climbing. Just a little tip, might help you out, you never know. Anyway guys, this was only going to be a quick video just to keep you and bring you up to speed on what's going on. Like I say, it's been very quiet, but that's about it for this one I think. I've just shown you what's going on and given you 1 or 2 tips I hope. And I hope you'll find them useful. Anyway guys, all that's left to say is thanks for watching, do take care, and as always, happy ponding.